On this episode of Sailing Sailor, we'll get settled into our temporary home and look at lots of sailboats. How will we decide which is the right one for us?
So we have signed on our home deal, and the buyers came and did a walkthrough yesterday, and they loved everything that we did. And so this is the next morning, and they have already signed, and the deal is funded. And so we are officially homeless. And so, it's quite a reality awakening. We are stepping into this new chapter, aren't we? Yeah. So from here, we don't know where we're going, but we have an idea and a plan. And we are sitting comfortably in a nice apartment. It's on a little island right near Anna Maria Island, and it's pretty, and it's quaint, and it's our temporary home. And Melissa picked it out. What are we doing here?
We're moving into an apartment.
We are.
Yes.
That's the kitchen. Why don't you show us around?
Here's the dining room and the living room. And it has a nice little deck porch.
And where is this place?
This is 5 minutes from the beach.
Ah.
And right by a nature preserve, so we can go walking.
This is a mangrove shoreline, and way on the other side of this is the intercoastal waterway. Not very big.
We furnished the apartment with a few items we brought from our house, plus some inexpensive furniture purchased from Facebook Marketplace. It was a very comfortable temporary home for us, and we quickly settled into a routine. Most mornings we would walk in the preserve next door. Robinson Preserve is filled with beautiful trees, plants, and wildlife, and has miles of walking trails. some mornings, we'd take a beach walk on Anna Maria Island, just a 5-minute car ride from our front door. We were still working part-time, but we found time on some afternoons to soak in the community pool while getting to know our neighbors. And of course, many evenings we drove out to the beach to experience the gorgeous sunsets over the Gulf. It was an ideal location for us. Our son had moved home for a couple of semesters because his college courses were all online during that time. He was living with us in the apartment along with his cat, Trout. We really enjoyed spending time with our son, and having a kitty around again was fun too. During the spring of 2024, we welcomed a new grandson into our family. This allowed us the privilege of spending time with our granddaughter to give Mama some time to bond with the new baby.
What about the pig? The pig is hungry. We enjoyed some family celebrations during this season, from my dad's birthday in March to Easter to my mom's birthday in May, our anniversary in June, and Father's Day with the grandkids. We loved being able to host dinners and game nights at our dining room table in our cozy little temporary home. Through it all, we kept our eyes on our goal of living and traveling on a sailboat. The day that we had closed on our house back in March, we found out that the Hunter 420 we absolutely loved had been sold, so it was back to the drawing board. We looked at a couple of boats at various marinas in St. Pete and Tampa, which were less than an hour north of where we were staying. We also took a couple of trips south to Port Charlotte to look at some sailboats there. In July, we decided to take a road trip up the east coast of the U.S. to visit family and look at a long list of sailboats we'd been looking at online. After helping our son move into a rental house on the outskirts of Orlando, near the college he was attending, we started our trek north. We drove through Green Cove Springs, Florida, which is known as a haven for sailboats and cruisers.
We didn't see any boats that appealed to us there, so we continued our drive north through Georgia and South Carolina. In Florence, South Carolina, we experienced our first Buc-ee's gas station and store. What a crazy, amazing place. They have every kind of snack you can possibly imagine, plus delicious barbecue sandwiches and banana pudding. We continued north to Annapolis, Maryland, the site of the huge sailboat show every October. We were excited to visit Annapolis because it's a sailing mecca, and we figured there would be many sailboats for us to check out there. On our way into the city, we stopped at a house on a lake to view an older Fountaine Pajot Belize catamaran. Although there were things we liked about it, the headroom in the salon and galley was not enough for us. Ted couldn't stand up all the way in the galley, so that one was quickly crossed off our list. Once in the city, we found a yacht brokerage on Spa Creek near the mouth of the Severn River. There we met a friendly broker who spent several hours showing us some new Fountaine Pajots and Dufours. They were all gorgeous boats with modern designs and spacious interiors, but sadly, they were way out of our price range. We did enjoy our time with the broker because she told us stories about her experience traveling the world on a catamaran with her husband and 2 children. She even gave us a copy of the book her husband had written about their adventures. We explored the historic downtown area of Annapolis and looked in the stores and art galleries. We also found a quaint little shop down by the water with delicious homemade ice cream. Next stop, Baltimore, to look at a Hunter 44 deck salon.
I had previously been researching the Hunter 44 deck salon. I did like the deck salons, and we looked at the smaller version earlier in our search. And this one was nicely laid out, has a nice big aft cockpit area and easy to step on and off the boat through the rear. And the deck salons have higher headroom, and we liked that, and it had a lot of bright open windows that we can look around and offers a lot of light. In the salon, nice big galley. It had the forward-facing nav station that we liked. This one had a owner's version queen in the rear stateroom, and that bed you can walk around, but you did have to duck underneath of the ceiling, which was under the deck cockpit floor. The room did have a lot of nice features to it and storage, and so we like that. Moving forward to the front stateroom, which is just a typical V berth that you see in most sailboats, but it didn't have the Pullman berth that we liked in other sailboats that were checking our boxes. The long and the short of this one was that it was set up with a shoal draft keel and also the shorter mast, and we could just use that forward berth as storage unless we had a guest on. The one thing we didn't like was the broker. He was a little snippy with us, so we just moved on our search.
We took a bit of a detour to Hershey, Pennsylvania, where we spent a few hours at the Hershey Story Museum. We learned about Milton Hershey, who not only invented a system for the mass production of affordable milk chocolate treats for the average American, but also contributed generously to his community by helping to build homes and public schools, including his school for orphaned children. While we were there, we experienced the bean-to-bar process in the chocolate lab and tasted the results of our work. Hershey was a fun place to visit, and we wish we could have spent more time there. We continued on to Western Massachusetts to visit one of our kids. Together we explored a botanical garden and the Eric Carle Museum. We also spent time hiking in the woods near a pretty waterfall. From there, we drove east to the north shore of Massachusetts to see 2 boats in Newburyport. The first was a 2010 Hunter 50 center cockpit. This one checked a lot of boxes for us. However, it was loaded with tons of stuff, so we had a difficult time determining the actual condition of the vessel. It was listed way beyond our budget, but we wanted to compare the layout and storage space to the Hunter 420 and 450 and the Hunter deck salons we'd been on. The second boat we saw in Newburyport was a Catalina Morgan 44.
From the price shown in the ad on Yacht World, the price of the boat was far out of our price range, but we wanted to take a good look at it. You never know if somebody's willing to come down, and a lot of times with sailboats that is the case. But we also wanted to look at the layout firsthand on this boat because it did look appealing. Really liked the way the deck was set up, and it was an in-mast furling sailboat. We liked that. It was a Catalina as well, and we did like that. At the time, Catalina was still in business, and we could get parts if we needed it. The cockpit was very spacious. It was an aft cockpit. It had an easy access down to the sugar scoop where it's like a swim platform and you can get in your dinghy or jump off the back of the boat. It did have a nice table inside of the aft cockpit, able to accommodate a lot of people if we were eating or playing games. The salon was really nicely laid out. It did have big windows. It was like a deck salon. So it had plenty of headroom and nice seating and a U-booth seating all the way around. The nav station was turned sideways, but the rest of the boat was very appealing. The galley was pretty spacious and had a lot of counter space. And these handheld fiddles that are around the countertops were very secure. Pretty much had everything we were looking for there in that layout. The V berth was kind of like an owner's version of a forward stateroom, and had some nice storage in there. It was bright and airy with big port lights and windows, and so we felt that would be a great guest stateroom or bedroom. The aft cabin was really the stateroom, and there it had a nice sized queen bed, very comfortable. Yes, you had to crawl up underneath of the aft deck floor, which is the ceiling over the bed, but you can walk all the way around to the side and to the front of the bed. And what I really liked is it had a lot of storage there, and you can see that it had a lot of nice closet storage and hanging storage in there. And what was very interesting with this boat is in that stateroom to the left was an access door to get into the utility room, which also accessed from the aft cockpit. And in there was many things, including a clothes washer, which would have been very practical. Here you see this utility room with all this shelving that you could put spare parts and tools and different things in there. And on the very back of this room was a little access way to get into where the engine was. And you can actually work all the way around that engine. You're just sliding down on your, sitting down all the way around the thing, but you had access to be able to work on it, and it was its own engine room. We really liked that. Here's that access from the cockpit that goes down into that utility room.
On our way back south, we stopped to look at a Moody 47. Ted loved all the features, and it checked so many of our boxes. However, he assessed that it would take at least 2 years in a boatyard to refit and repair, so that one was crossed off the list. In Virginia, we spent a couple of hours at an off-the-beaten-path marina with a helpful broker who showed us several sailboats.
This Hunter 45 deck salon and the 45 center cockpit was a boat that I had been researching a lot. This is a vessel that Hunter made design changes for to make them more of a performance monohull sailing vessel. And this thing checked so many boxes based on the research. So we wanted to come down and see this vessel, and it certainly impressed us. This one was extremely lightly used, and the owners were motivated. Even though this boat was a little over our price range, actually more than a little over our price range, they had already purchased a Leopard 45 catamaran that they were getting ready to set sail on. And so they had some motivation, as the broker told us, to go ahead and maybe negotiate. But it did do a lot for us. And this is a vessel that we'd be extremely comfortable sailing all around Florida and the Bahamas and the Caribbean. And we just loved what it offered. And it was a nice, clean boat. Again, extremely low hours on the engine and the generator, extremely low and very well taken care of, and actually had some upgrades to it. Again, in the salon area, the boat had a lot of nice comforts that we were looking for. The big U-booth seating there, and the settee couch area, forward-facing nav station, and it had a very spacious galley with decent stainless steel handholds and a lot of refrigerator, freezer space that we liked. Nice windows all the way around that would allow a lot of light inside, and that you can actually stand and see out, and that was a nice feature. This boat also had the Pullman berth, which we like, which is a side bed and a lot of storage underneath and to the side of it, and a forward head up there, bathroom, and in the aft stateroom, it had a island queen center line to the boat, and there you would have to duck up underneath of it, but it had some decent storage in there for clothes storage and storage up underneath of the bed, and in a hanging locker.
We were really hoping to get a boat that had space to put a clothes washer in, although it wasn't completely necessary. It was something that we would like to have. And also, we wanted slightly more storage than what was available on this boat. But it was a very nice boat, and it had been really well taken care of.
The broker also showed us a 99 Lagoon 38, and at first glance it looked okay. The Lagoons are a nice stable catamaran. He did say that this one was used in the charter business down in the islands, and so because of that, those things get a lot of use and a lot of hours put on it. And of course, this one had a tremendous amount of hours. And so, but we were willing to take a look at it. And at first glance, it was nice and clean and didn't look too bad inside. The salon looked nice, and the galley was a little tight for us, but it had a couple of nice staterooms. It had a couple small berths up front, but outside of that, it looked good. But when you look in the systems looked like they were heavily used, and the motors had so many hours and they were rough looking, they looked like they needed to be replaced. So we decided not to do anything with that. Plus, Lagoon had some bulkhead issues before a certain year, and so that was another reason that we steered away from it.
We made our way to Charleston, South Carolina, where we spent most of a day exploring the city. We walked around the market, took a tour of the old Exchange and Provost Dungeon, and saw beautiful historic homes and buildings, including the iconic Rainbow Row on East Bay Street. Carmela's Cafe was highly recommended, and it did not disappoint. We tried a salami and goat cheese sandwich on ciabatta bread, which was delicious, as well as several decadent desserts. If you're ever in Charleston, make sure you stop there. We continued south, and our final stop was in Daytona Beach, Florida. We took a little time to enjoy the Atlantic Ocean beach, so different from our beaches on the west coast of Florida.
While we were enjoying our time at Daytona Beach, we decided to contact a broker who had another listing for a 145 deck salon that we were looking at, and this was the second one that we've seen, very similar to the 45 deck salon, but this was the center cockpit, and there you can see inside the cockpit with a folding helm wheel. Here's a picture or two of the boat under sail. So again, Hunter had these boats laid out with plenty of room in the salon, and it was very spacious and lots of light, and it was very, very comfortable. We really liked this design and layout. The galley was nice and spacious, and it had loads of storage in there, plenty of counter space, and lots of different appliances and things that we needed, and also it allowed us to hide things away while we were under sail. The guest V berth up forward was also comfortable, and it had the head right next to it. And the main part that we were very interested in this boat was the spacious stateroom in the back with a nice queen bed, and it offered a lot of storage, and we really liked that design. Moving down to New Smyrna Beach, we saw 2008 Beneteau 46, and this was an owner's version. We liked it. This had the aft cockpit and has lots of room in the back there in the aft cockpit. It seats plenty of people, and below this again was the owner's version, so it had a nice layout in the salon, and the galley again forward-facing nav station, and it had a nice V berth layout, which was a walk-around island queen. And then the rear stateroom was kind of at a 45-degree angle, but it was very durable for us, and it had a lot of storage underneath of it.
Last minute, we found out about an older Hunter 420 Passage in Palm Coast, so we drove back north just a bit to see that one. We were hoping it would be similar to the one we had wanted to buy in Titusville, but this 420 had been neglected and needed a lot of work. So we crossed it off our list and headed back home to Bradenton. Wow, that was a long trip, and we saw so many sailboats. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. Comment below and tell us which boat was your favorite. And don't miss the next episode where we'll make our decision about which boat to make an offer on.